Nobody knows why the Targaryens first came to the island of Dragonstone. Old Valyria was then at the height of its power and the center of the civilized world, which ended at the Narrow Sea. Westeros was a filthy backwater with 7 kings squabbling over borders and minor glories. So much for progress. The island itself was and is nothing. It had no gold or gems to lure Valyrian nobility. All it has is rock. Mostly a shiny black stone, too brittle for war and too sharp for building. The Targaryens called it dragonglass. I call it useless. But the Targaryens managed to raise a castle here. Simpletons claim they used ancient Valyrian sorcery, forgetting that the Targaryens brought a small army with them from Essos. There's no magic in strong backs, though admittedly the castle is unlike any in Westeros. Foreign and strange. If the Targaryens ever regretted their barren outpost and longed for the comforts of home, the Doom made their folly permanent. Valyria collapsed into the waves and was no more. To look east was to see the ruin of their homeland, the greatest civilization before or since. But to look west, as Aegon realized, was to see a fertile land ripe for conquest. Perhaps even a new Valyria. Though good for little else, Dragonstone was the perfect staging point for Aegon's invasion of Westeros. The Blackwater Bay granted easy access to the continent. The lands there were disputed by 3 kingdoms: the Reach, the Iron Islands, and the Stormlands. But their capitals were far enough away that none could mount a force before Aegon got a foothold, even if their kings had been able to stop bickering over whose problem he was. Then it was too late. Aegon had chosen his first camp well, with the bay to the east, the river to the south, and open fields to the north and west. His army would be impossible to take by surprise. A perfect site for an invasion, and one day, his capital city, King's Landing. The Doom had taught the Targaryens the prudence of refuge. After the conquest, Dragonstone became the seat of the crown prince and heir to the Iron Throne. It would serve them well, and me ill, 300 years later, after my brother Robert Baratheon rebelled against the Iron Throne and the Lannisters slaughtered the Mad King Aerys and his royal family. Robert dispatched me to deal with the last surviving Targaryen children. But before I arrived, a loyal knight smuggled them across the Narrow Sea to safety. Hatred for the Targaryens blinded Robert. Unjustly, I was blamed and stripped of our family's castle of Storm's End and given Dragonstone in its stead. Over the years, whenever I demanded my rights restored, Robert would remind me of the island's royal pedigree and pretend he was doing me honor, as if I were one of his tavern girls to be so easily deceived and dismissed. But Robert is dead, and I, Stannis Baratheon, am the rightful king of Westeros. Let the usurpers and traitors sit on the Iron Throne. From Dragonstone, I will be the dagger at their throat.
On the shores of the God's Eye, due north of the Isle of Faces, rises a monument to arrogance and cruelty. Harrenhal. For a people who prided themselves on their ships, the Iron Men of old seized any chance to leave them, and carved out a vast kingdom from the peaceful river lords. Their empire reached its zenith under King Harrenhal, called the Black by those he terrorized, and by his own men, though they meant it proudly. King Harren enslaved the Riverlands to raise the mightiest fortress Westeros had ever seen. A castle that could garrison 1,000,000 men, with walls so vast that winters would come and go, and besieging armies grow old and grey before the castle fell. 5 towers he ordered, reaching into the heavens like grasping fingers. a monstrosity which he forced our people to build for their own subjugation. But the very day the slaves laid the last stone, Aegon Targaryen and his sisters arrived in the south. When they arrived with their small army, Harren laughed and shut the gates. Harrenhal would have its first test, and an easy one at that. It failed. Harrenhal could have withstood an assault from all the armies in Westeros combined. But Harren learned that the tallest and thickest walls meant little to dragons.
Didn't Harren...
For dragons fly.
Tywin say that?
With Harren and his sons dead, Harrenhal quickly surrendered to Aegon. House Tully then raised the River Lords in rebellion against the Iron Islands. And with Aegon, we flushed the Iron Men to the sea. We should have torn down the castle stone by stone then. But Harrenhal seemed such a magnificent prize that Aegon gave it to one of his commanders, whose line then withered to extinction, as would every family to hold it thereafter. When many speak of Harrenhal, their voices drop to whispers about Mad Lady Lothson, who was said to send a giant bat to collect children for her crockpots, and to bathe in blood and serve feasts of human flesh. About the ghosts of Black Harren and his sons who still walk the castle at night, all aflame. Of the servants who went to bed in full health, and were found in the morning, burnt to ash. Mere stories to frighten wayward children and excite young girls, you may say. You would not be entirely wrong.
Yeah, wow.
Harrenhal is a prize. A nigh impregnable castle with enough land and enough income to make a man, at a stroke, one of the greatest lords in Westeros.
Harrenhal is?
But you would not be entirely right either.
They gave it to
Say by a king's grace, Harrenhal became yours. Now you must garrison it. You must repair it and maintain it. Even stretched to the ends of your means, you cannot fill and manage the whole castle. So you retreat your household to 4 of the 5 towers, then 3, then 2, then only the bottom thirds of those. You close the hall of 100 hearths and take your meals in your rooms. Even then you can't shake the feeling of desolation, that Harrenhal and its vastness is devouring you. In later years, as you bury a grandson or a great-grandson, the last of your line, you will know it has.
At its height, the Valyrian freehold ruled over half the known world. Not bad for former shepherds, but the doom fell on them and sank their capital into the sea. Now Volantis is the ember of old Valyria, ensuring its flame does not go out from this world, as any Volantine will tell you. Pentoshi say the same about Pentos, Lysines about Lys, and so on. But after enough time in the 9 free cities, it's hard to see them as anything but ashes of glory. Volantis is the oldest, the first colony of Valyria. After the Doom, the Volantines tried to rebuild the Empire under their rule. They failed, not least because the last Valyrian with dragons, Aegon Targaryen, entered the war against them. Now they are content to dominate only their lower classes, or so they say. Braavos is the strangest, a city erected not by the freehold, but against it. A labyrinth of illusion and deceit to hide the refugees from Valyria's slave lords. After the Doom, the city emerged from the shadows to become one of the greatest banking centers in the world. A man can get anything in Braavos, for a price. Especially death. Your own if you offend one of the swaggering swordsmen that pollute the city. Or, if you're very rich, or very desperate, anyone else's. Lys is the easiest of the free cities, full of pleasure houses catering to every taste, no matter how peculiar. Many men lose themselves in Lys and are never found, at least alive. When a man runs out of coin, the Lysines may grant him their other speciality on the house: poison. Pentos is the most ruthless. The Magisters make a great show of choosing the Prince of Pentos from the great families and granting him the powers of trade, justice, and war, as long as he checks with them first. On the new year, to bring good fortune to Pentos, this prince must deflower the Maid of the Field and the Maid of the Seas. I confess I don't know how each is chosen, or what becomes of them after serving their purpose. But if a crop should fail or a war be lost, the Magisters will slit the prince's throat and choose another. The other free cities are known for what they make. Mia has its lenses and finery, Norvos, its axes, Quohor, its smiths who can reforge Valyrian steel, Tyrosh, its colors. I'm sure Lorath had something to the world, but I can't think of it. Frankly, the 9 of them are more alike than they would care to admit. They hire the same soldiers to fight the same wars for the same rulers, the rich, be they called Magisters, Archons, or what have you. When a Dothraki Khalasar approaches, they gift the same tribute to avoid the same sacking. For thousands of years, the disgraced of Westeros have drained east to pool in the free cities, where a man of honor counts for less than nothing, unless it raises his price. Better men than I have learned that what a man sells for gold, he can never buy back. He must earn it, by fire and blood.
Fire and blood is the Targaryen words.
Karth has always and only belonged to the Karthi. We were never part of Valeria's empire, nor have we ever fallen to a Dothraki horde. Our walls and the red waste outside them guard us from such annoyance. Many call the approach to our city the Garden of Bones. It needs little tending to grow. Our city, however, would be quite a prize for any empire. Karth straddles 2 worlds, a greedy and curious west, and a rich and mysterious east. The marvels of Yeti and Ashai pass through our markets, and share berths with the riches of the free cities and Westeros. Our ports have fulfilled many a trader's dreams, almost as many as they have broken. We call Karth the greatest city that ever was or will be, an easy claim to make if one knows only the docks and customs houses of other cities, an easy lie to swallow if a people see only the gold and jewels of their rulers, which we, the 13 who govern the city, are careful to ensure. The proud Kartheen shook off the yoke of unjust kings long ago, so they are told at festivals by the pureborn, the king's direct descendants who have controlled the 13 ever since. Only now, instead of scepters, they use ships. A merchant only remains on the 13 until the others are no longer afraid to deny him, or too afraid to deny his replacement. Except for the Warlocks, they alone hold a hereditary seat, a relic from when they had powers, or at least from when the world was younger and more easily duped. Over the years, we have developed an understanding with them. They shall always be welcome on our councils and at affairs of state, provided they never come. Rare is the civic problem that can be solved by cryptic nonsense and shade of the evening. Thankfully, they need little encouragement to confine themselves to their House of the Undying. Yet perhaps we Kartheen are too confined ourselves. We feel safe behind our walls and our laws, which no visitor can hope to follow, and by which any citizen who vouches for a guest always pays with his life. But like a ship in the summer seas, a city grows becalmed without fresh wind. The greatest city that ever was or will be? An epitaph. I would prefer the greatest city that is.
The 7 are gods of weakness and defeat, pretty chains that the first men kindly put on after the Andals crushed them, except in the Iron Islands. Since the Dawn Age, the Ironborn have followed the drowned god, who plucked fire from the sea and made us to reave and sack and carve our names in blood and song. When the Andals landed on the Iron Islands, They found a god who was father, warrior, and stranger, who took mother, maiden, and crone when he would, and held the smith in thrall. His priests are the drowned men, who are clothed and armed by the sea itself. They consecrate us to the drowned god through our most sacred rite, the drowning, and ask the god to raise us from the sea as he was, harder and stronger. The Ironborn do not fear the bloodiest battles or the roughest waves, for the drowned god taught us long ago that what is dead may never die. When an Ironborn falls, we say the drowned god needed a strong oarsman and took him below to feast in the god's watery halls, attended by mermaids. But even in death, an Ironborn is a warrior. We fight against the storm god, who holds a castle in the clouds, and sends the winds to lure the Ironborn off course or wreck our ships. It's said my legendary ancestor, the Grey King, waged war upon the storm god for 1,000 years. With the drowned god's help, he slew the great sea dragon Naga and used her bones for his hall. After his death, the storm god tried to wash away any memory of this terrible foe, but his songs fill our halls to this day. It was the storm god who first blew the Andals to the Iron Islands, to subdue us and turn us from our faith. True, they conquered and killed our king, but in time they forsook their septs for the shore, and their fat septons for the drowned men. The Andals came to us as conquerors. In the end, they drowned. The Ironborn are of the sea, as our god made us, and given to it as our god taught us. We do not fear the storm god's winds or his waves, but you should, for they bring us to you.
Dragons conquered the Seven Kingdoms, but to rule them, the Targaryens needed a less temperamental tool. When the great King Maegor saw the power of the Alchemist Guild, he blessed us with his patronage. In those days, we commonly transmuted metals and other wonders, but the king was most interested in our mastery of the substance, which those not of our order dubbed wildfire. A slight misnomer. To the uninitiated, the substance indeed seems uncontrollable. Water will not extinguish it, nor plate of steel repel it. Our order alone knows its secrets. In bare stone cells beneath the guild hall, our acolytes prepare the substance with utmost care and ancient magic. Apprentices then remove the jars to a secure storage. Overseeing its purity are the wisdoms, such as myself, who are adept in the alchemical mysteries. Should an acolyte prove unworthy and allow the substance to ignite, the ceilings are spelled to collapse and fill the room with sand. For once lit, only smothering or starvation will quench the fire. Many years did the Alchemist Guild serve the Targaryens faithfully, until we were beset on all sides by the envious, the Order of Maesters, who dismissed all learning but their own, and the charlatans who hocked green paint and worse in our names. After the unfortunate Prince Aerion Targaryen, drunk with wine, boasted that a draught of the substance would transmute him into a dragon, we lost our royal favor. Then came the wise King Aerys, second of his name. I was merely an acolyte when he restored our guild to its former glory. As had his great forefathers, he appreciated our secret arts, even naming Wisdom Rossart as Hand of the King. Together they punished his enemies as befits a true Targaryen. During the War of the Usurper, I heard whispers that King Aerys had engaged our greatest wisdoms for an ultimate weapon against his foe. But sadly, King's Landing must have fallen before it could be used, and many of our wisdoms disappeared in the sack of the city, victims of ignorance and envy, as ever, I'd wager. Yet our order perseveres, like the substance which grows ever more potent as it ages. We perfect our ancient arts in darkness, forgotten by the world. We are masters of the fire, but we live only to serve. All we need is the right spark.
The East is plagued with mystics who claim many dread powers but prove only one, separating the foolish from their purses. Not so with the renowned warlocks of Kav. They demand a much dearer coin in return for their parlor tricks. Respect. Once, the warlocks truly were mighty, or so they would have us believe. I do not doubt they have many secrets. They are an old order, and one does not obtain a seat on the 13, the governing council of Kav, without making 12 of our most powerful citizens afraid to forbid it. Thankfully for Kav, the warlocks exert little influence in our politics. They rarely leave the confines of the House of the Undying, a pompous name, but, I admit, a strange and dark tower. It is said that none who enter ever leave. Of course, since there are no visible doors, I have to believe none ever enter either. We can only imagine what the warlocks do inside. I wager we do not have to imagine much. They read dusty scrolls detailing their lost glory. They sip shade of the evening, a foul concoction brewed from the nearby trees, until their lips turn blue, the better to frighten children and the ignorant. Stewing in their fantasies like an old soldier who drinks alone so no one may challenge their prowess. Whatever the warlocks may wish, their magic, like all magic, is dead in the world, if it ever existed. Though, one does hear strange whispers of late. Glass candles that have been cold for 100 years, now burning. Ghost grass, found far from the lands of the shadow. A Khalasar led by a woman with 3 heads. Trader's nonsense, most likely. But should the warlock's vaunted magic ever return, that would be a dangerous day for Kav. I shall need to keep my eyes on them. Indeed.
Right.
He claims while he, now he's in his eternal home.
Right.
In his vault. In his vault right there, and the warlock is burned.
Still, though, I think it's definitely good to watch these at the end of the season,
yeah,
because like there's some certain characters like before the season you hadn't met Davos or Stannis, you hadn't met Zarazar and Doxos.
It's better just to like throw on
warlocks.
pieces
So
along the
yeah.
way.
Plus, I mean, it gives you more of an appreciation because like then you'd be asking like, well, who's that guy?
Yeah.
So like I think watching it,
or what does that mean, or what
Right.
is the Undying, and then like I try to like piece it together once I found out what. Yeah, it's better to watch at the end for sure.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Well, the one thing that you wanted me to star was Thoros of Myr and his flaming sword.
I want to know what I don't want to know, but I'm curious to see the connection between the flaming sword that he has and the God of Light and the flaming sword that Stannis was drawing.
Okay. One thing that I can tell you about Thoros of Myr is that you know how they like to do tournaments with like jousting and sword fighting. He has beaten the Hound 3 times.
Thoros of Myr?
Yeah.
Has beaten the Hound 3 times, and he's alive still? We just haven't met him yet?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
But keep in mind, he's got a flaming sword, and the Hound
is afraid of it. Yeah, that's true. No, that's very true.
So
yeah, so I mean that's kind of like understandable why he beat the Hound 3 times. Everyone has a weakness.
So Mathos, I never actually really like. I must have missed this, but the guy that was actually converted to like the Lord of Light, that's trying to always talk to Davos and be like,
that's his son.
Yeah.
That was his son.
Yeah.
So that was the guy that I was trying to get you to, or I was trying to figure out who he was when he was talking to him with the other pirate. Remember, he was there too.
Yeah.
That kid.
Yeah, and then so he and Davos got like when the wildfire, like they were on the same ship together.
Yeah.
So that's
he
who
could
we
be
were
there, too.
asking about at the end of episode 9.
Yeah.
So House Tyrell has only been in power ever since pretty much Aegon the Conqueror came 300 years ago.
Yeah.
Because they were just stewards of Highgarden, and like the rulers of Highgarden joined with like the Lannisters to like fight Aegon the Conqueror, and like he just like laid waste to them.
Yeah.
And then the Tyrells being smart, being like, we see dragons, we'll bow.
Yeah, we'll bow for now.
And so then they're like, and then the Targaryens are like, all right, you get control of.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were loyal to House Targaryen
For the
during
moment being.
Robert's rebellion, and why they, fought, against Storm.
And their move wasn't stupid, even though they were being smart to watch and wait and see what Tywin did to like pick a side almost, to not just immediately go attack the Baratheons and then try to go fight everyone else. They also were right that like they were doing the right strategic move as well with that, waiting for Tywin to attack and then to attack Bradley to do a double-edged attack, but Tywin didn't ever do that because Tywin knew that he couldn't trust that.
And they ended up getting
anymore.
pardoned by Robert anyway,
Right.
because like they didn't sack Storm's End,
And they didn't even fight Ned, apparently.
Right,
they left.
Right, like so they were exactly. So they just fought that one battle where they beat Robert, and then they just surrounded and starved almost Storm's End.
If it was not for Davos,
right? Which pissed Stannis off, but Robert didn't care.
No.
So they
Because
didn't
Robert
actually,
wasn't affected technically by
they
any
didn't
of
actually
that.
cause a lot of casualties in that war.
They're
And
smart.
when Ned came, they're just like, all right, screw it, yeah, we'll bend the knee.
Yeah.
So and their house was what, growing stronger or something like that.
Yeah, growing
like,
stronger every
you
time.
can't grow if you just keep on fighting and letting your people die. So when you know you're beat, just being like, okay,
No, that's fine.
and then we'll just go back home where the land is very fertile.
Yeah.
Where
All of our they can pretty much live in peace and then try to go out and make some moves and then go back in peace.
Right.
So no, the Tyrells are very smart. I'm curious to see who they're like to really meet their leader.
you got to learn quite a bit of history of Peter Baelish and Catelyn Stark.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Oh my
heard-
god, that biggest thing was that Catelyn, which I knew. I didn't feel love between them. Like, I still am kind of like, on Catelyn Tully. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I just stuck like a bee. But, it makes total sense that she was, like, in love with his older brother and, like, also had, like, a loyalty to Baelish and, that whole story makes so much sense now.
Yeah,
I think out of everything, that's the
Baelish
biggest
loved
puzzle
her
piece.
and wanted to. Well, they very like in episode 3 of season 1, they barely mentioned it.
That
'Cause, like,
she was with her older brother?
Yes,
Really? I
because
missed that.
it was when Ned Stark first went into the council, and he's like, "Oh, I know who you are. You're Peter Baelish," and said something about like fighting for his sister's hand against Brandon Stark.
Oh, I never understood that. I didn't
Against
get that.
like
Totally-
he
that
fought
was so
Brandon
early
Stark for.
and lost.
And left like from stem to collarbone, or he left a mark. So Peter Baelish has this like massive scar
from Brandon.
but she said, spare him, don't kill him.
Yeah.
So
she
they
actually kept his life.
barely mentioned
Yeah, I didn't
it.
even catch that at all whatsoever. I mean, that was all that little wordplay is like little gems if you can catch.
But
on
this fills in a lot.
Oh yeah,
of those
completely.
gaps.
Yeah.
So that was nice. Now the Greyjoys, Viserys in season 1 was talking about how people were calling Robert the Usurper, or no, sorry, it was Illyria, the guy that Maester, or not Maester, but the guy that kept Daenerys and Viserys.
Oh yeah.
And was like giving the one that gave them the dragon's eggs. He was talking about how people still call Robert Baratheon the Usurper even 17 years later, and so the Greyjoys were one of the houses that called him the Usurper, and that's
because they didn't want to lose their own.
right, led to the Greyjoy Rebellion and stuff like that. So
The Greyjoys have more of an importance though because if they wouldn't have taken out the Lannisters.
the fleet.
I feel like the Lannisters may have also went to take power quicker than they actually have
Quicker
already
than they
taken it. Yeah, I think that slowed it down. And then to go back, I mean, I think the Greyjoys fought off some type of like older evil, or not evil, but older power that would have been like kind of like almost like the Wall.
Okay.
Like they had their own
Like
little
the sea dragon.
the sea wall,
The Naga.
the Naga, or like whatever else there is. Like out there like that. They fought off that, so there is more of an importance to the Greyjoys than just like some like Viking raper like horde like marauders. So I have a little bit more respect for the Greyjoys. Now watching it, zero respect for Theon still, but a little more respect for the Greyjoys.
For like Yara and Balon?
Yeah, for Yara and Balon, I do have a little more respect now.
Now, you also learned about the Cleganes.
Yeah,
they are like a very, very new house.
Very,
like
very
they were like they're
almost as new as Davos is.
Yeah, their sigil is the Three Hounds because the Three Hounds fought off the lioness that was going to kill. So. Yeah, and it was a great honor for the Mountain to get a knighthood. So now you know why he's called the Hound. There's the Mountain and the Hound. And their banner is the three.
I don't know who the lioness is, but they always do this to where it's like the sigils represent each other. I wonder if they're gonna kill. If the Hound will kill.
Well, no, they were saying that the lioness was trying to kill, because the lion is the sigil of the Lannisters, and that the lioness was trying to kill a Lannister.
Yeah,
and it was the Three Hounds that saved that helped fight off the lioness and saved the Lannister.
What's Tywin's dad? Whatever Tywin's dad was, that's who they were fighting off. Yeah, so there's that whole side of it too. And that's how they even got to power. And
so that's why the Cleganes are so closely tied with the Lannisters.
Yeah, I mean, because they pretty much grew them to power and then like killed off. They probably killed their dad, and they probably killed just to keep him like from ever like rising up or anything. And they probably killed. Well, they definitely killed their sister. Like he was saying, lost sisters and stuff. And so they just needed like two couple warriors.
And did you catch who actually coronated the Mountain as a knight?
Aerys Targaryen?
No, it was Rhaegar Targaryen.
Or Rhaegar Targaryen.
The guy,
that's right, who he raped then later. His wife later.
We ended up raping
That's right.
Like a year later.
Yeah, not even that much longer, and it was like a great honor and and everything.
But you kind of heard the sarcasm in the Hound's voice when he's just like, another great honor for
just because we had to go do this and had to go do that.
Because like the new king honored us for doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Honor by service. I mean, that's what he was explaining, I think. Yeah, no.
They're just a house that's really good at killing.
Yeah, and they're just like hired hitman almost, and they just keep them as like guards.
I believe the Hound is supposed to be 6'8", and the Mountain is supposed to almost be 8 foot.
Whew. Yeah, the Mountain's huge.
Yeah.
I don't even know where the last time we left off with the Mountain was. I can't even remember. I think he left. I think
the thing is, I think you might have actually seen the Mountain at Harrenhal, because
he was there. He was picking people.
Yeah, because like he was like blah 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 blah. Clegane, you do this.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think they recast the actor or something like that
in the middle of the series.
Yeah.
We'll find out when we see him again. But that's so weird. But anyway.
Well, like, because you remember the guy that had like the helmet on. Yeah. I think it was a different actor in this season.
I'll be able to tell you. I remember his face. But yeah. So I'm curious to see how the Mountain plays into all this. I'm curious to see where the hell the Hound's going. Maybe to meet up with the Mountain. I don't know if they have that great. I mean, obviously, I don't know how their relationship is.
Burning his face as a child.
Yeah, and that whole thing. So. But yeah, that we learned about the Cleganes in this one as well.
Yeah, so like I said, you're like, how much more history can there be? There can be a lot more history.
Now I can see if you just keep going into each of these stories. I mean, it's insane how much each.
Well, and they even talk even more about Robert's Rebellion, but now it's getting like more specific.
Yeah, and in depth about everything
for each character, like Catelyn's view on
the rebellion.
And her, like, every time Ned Stark goes away, coming back with a new kid.
I know, so I feel so bad for Rob, and then there's Theon. It's just like she's more and more mad. It's not even her true love originally. Right. She got burned by the Mad King. Yeah, that's funny that Arya has a respect for the Targaryen sisters of.
Well, because they're strong female characters.
Yeah, so a lot of them. But then the Targaryens are originally what burned her moms. But yeah, it's just funny how that like ties in there. But yeah, that's like everyone's. Even Marjorie was like felt like a tie to the Targaryen women riding dragons. Yeah. And maybe that'll be her call when Daenerys comes with her dragon. Maybe it'll be like a call to like women's power and like women will stand behind. Oh my god, if Arya rides a fucking dragon, holy shit, literally. But maybe it'll be Marjorie and Arya because they're like the two that have ever even talked about their dragons, and like the sisters riding the dragons, and it'll just be like 3 women riding the dragons and superwoman empowerment. I don't know.
So Marjorie, Arya, and
Daenerys. Maybe it'll be those 3 riding the dragons. I don't know, but they are the only ones so far I think that have like seriously like admired and talked about the fact that like women rode dragons and like were like.
Well, but there was also Aegon.
No, yeah,
it was Aegon and his 2 sisters.
Yeah, and
so it wasn't all girls that were riding dragons.
No,
but they were still, like women empowerment, which has been a theme in the show.
No, it really
There's
has.
plenty of strong female characters. I mean, Sansa's somewhat of a weak character right now, but like
she's getting stronger though.
A little bit,
not too much though. Yeah,
but there's strong male characters. There's weak male characters. There's people.
Yeah,
that's what the show is. There's people.
Yeah, I love it. Oh my god, I love it because it's so. People are so. Actors are so good, by the way. Oh my god.
Yeah.
I mean, I know we haven't seen any actors in the last 2 episodes, just like narrations, but even the narrations, like, to be to narrate with that much passion behind what you're saying, as if it's your family, is like really impressive, and like you hear so much just from the tone, and even for, like you were saying, like how he kind of laughed, like. The Clegane's honor, yeah, like that comes through, and that's insane that comes through. Just with something as meaningless as this, there's a lot of passion behind this acting, and so I think that comes through with like to make the show as good as it is too.
Yeah, and apparently Joffrey, the actor that plays Joffrey, Jack Gleason, he's apparently like a really nice dude.
Really, like so good, so good at little shit.
Like George R.R. Martin, the writer of the books. Was talking to Jack Gleason and be like, "Good job, everybody hates you."
Yeah, I mean, you need to be hated if you're Joffrey. But no, I really like these history of wars. They've done so much.
Yeah, and all the as you said, all the actors are just like on point.
Oh yeah, just nailing it, and like I also haven't read the books, so I can't really draw comparisons to what the characters truly should be. But I have not met, which is a testament to their directing. I have not met one character that threw me out of the show yet, and I'm waiting for those. Like I've watched a lot of shows, a lot of movies, and like scenes. Even with one wrong actor can throw off an entire show or entire movie just because they don't fit in the character and it just doesn't make any sense, and it's almost a bother or a nuisance. I have not met one single character, even a subtle like helpful character, like an ad character that just like is there for like contextual basis, that has thrown me off the show. Like each person has just brought their A game, which is really cool. Even the extras are on point too. So no, I'm very excited for the rest of these seasons. But yeah, the history and the lore definitely recommend. So it helps everything.
Yeah, I'm that. So
at the end too.
So
it doesn't make any sense as much if you watch at the beginning. You're right. I feel like it's like a better like
you can appreciate it more.
Yeah, like an addition where you can appreciate it so much more and appreciate the show or the season you just watched better, leading you into this next season too.
And this helps kind of catch you up to the book readers because like this is stuff that's actually like in the books.
Oh, okay, so that makes sense then because I was like, wow, they made up all of this just like so. Okay, so that makes sense that these are in the books. Then yeah, the books are amazing. Then like with all this extra context basis, it's so much more of a full picture and understanding people's motivations a little bit better, understanding where the show could be going possibly, and like the potential of the show. Without any spoilers, like I've not had anything spoiled yet.
Yeah,
like
I said,
well, I know, but like I have not led into any beliefs strongly from this that like I didn't already have before, and so it's just really
makes all the characters that much deeper.
It just makes me understand the characters so much better. Yeah, the characters so much deeper. Even Catelyn Stark, I have understanding for her even more. As much as I still don't like her, I understand where she's coming from and like her duty and like why she told Robb it's not about what you want, it's about your duty and the Tullys, and so I understand where she's coming. But yeah, like all the characters in general too.
Yeah.
Even the Mountain, even the Hound too. Yeah, understanding where he's come from and his humble beginnings. But was there one last one, or was that the one?
No, that was just talking about the sigil of the Cleganes.
Yeah, the last one. I think that there was like this one was just more just like filling in the pieces. The last one like gave me a lot more old new information. Right. This one was just kind of like little things here and
you got a little bit from Ygritte and the Wall, right?
Oh yeah, that one was like, oh yeah, you're right. I totally forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that up.
The Starks are
and then there's giants. Supposedly, she's very, very okay. I can't, because who knows if there's giants, but there's also shadow demons, so who knows? But she's very confident that there were giants and that like they were taken and like imprisoned and used to build a wall, and that it was like a disgusting thing, and the giants were almost viewed as like, you know, they said they're giants, so like maybe they were not even like
the wildlings owned the giants.
Yeah, not even that they necessarily owned them, but like that they respected them, because they didn't respect the fact that they used them as slaves. So maybe they respected the giants who lived among them.
And even Osha, like that's with Bran, Hodor, and like when she saw Hodor naked, she's like, "You got giant's blood in you."
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I mean, they that's a whole. I'm curious to see what other mysterious like, not just creatures but magic lays behind the wall. Because then we saw there was like the woman with the blue eyes who was originally wedded by one of the Night's Watchmen and like was a king beyond the wall for a minute, and then was overthrown by the Starks, who now are like tied within.
Well, I think they were talking about Night's King, who was the head of the White Walker. Like, so the wildlings fought with the Starks to fight back the White Walkers.
Oh, I thought there was a guy who.
There was a king beyond the wall as well, but
no,
they also mentioned the Night's King, who was like a big deal.
No, yeah, the Night's King, but I'm saying the Night's King was the guy. It was just the guy who found that girl and wed her.
Right. Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a guy. I don't think it was I don't think it was a White Walker. And she was a White Walker for sure. But like, I think it was. Well, I mean, I don't know if we want to go back just to make sure. I mean, I doubt it really makes a difference, but I'm pretty sure. I don't know if necessarily it was a Night's Watchman, but it was a guy. It was a man who and then he led the people.
Yeah, like I said, this is the first time I saw it, so like I was trying to
figure that out too.
Figure things out as well.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm curious. I mean, I know you can't say anything, but also for you guys and for you, like, I wonder how this is going to play once you've already seen everything. Then rewatching these and kind of, especially if you've already read the books too, that's got to be a cool experience.
I'm debating whether or not making like a supercut of some of your bigger reactions and just having you react to you reacting.
Going back and
just
laughing about
you watching your reaction to like Ned's death.
Oh, that'd be funny. Not right now. Why do you gotta keep digging in? I'm sorry. I get it. I'm sad about Ned's death. He keeps driving in this. He keeps bringing it up and just trying to move on. He's like, Ned's death. Like, I get it. It shattered me. I don't even know. I feel like I was raped. And I'm just trying to get on with it. And he's like, you were raped. But yeah, Ned's death was, oh my god. That set the tone for this entire show. Was Ned's death for me so far.
Well, and prior to that episode too, that was also the episode that you had like the magic from like the witch that was trying to bring Khal Drogo back. Yeah. Like prior to that, this show was pretty straightforward, almost no magic, like very little reference to White Walkers.
I thought it was.
You thought it was going to be like a medieval
ironclad like Lord of the Rings without the the dragons and like the magic on that side.
You get into magic at the end of season 1, and then season 2 they're just like magic.
Yeah, like a lot, and then like all of season 2 was like, and then like also creatures and things like are getting introduced. Like I have no idea. Like, it keeps blowing the top off of where it keeps building these little barriers you think the show's in. It's like, oh, no, it's not. Like even with just not just killing people, which like I understand, like when they killed Ned, like I knew no one's safe, but. Because then that takes it away from what your perspective is. You think you're learning it from this one perspective, but you're like, no, this is from everyone's perspective. And then you think you have these confines and the rules of this world, and you're like, nope, you don't have those either. And then you think there's only so much area that these people within these, unlimited rules live in. And they're like, nope, there's all this other area too. And so I'm curious to see what else they keep.
I just like the gray area because, like, like when we keep talking about perspective, but like. The Lannisters don't think they're evil. They think they're good.
The Greyjoys don't
think they're evil.
The
Wildlings don't think they're evil.
No.
Like
I bet you the White Walkers don't even think they're evil. Right. In a way. So I'm sure everyone has their own perspective, and that's life too. And I think better understanding that is better understanding life because a lot of people fight wars over misunderstandings and not understanding people's perspective or motivations. And so I feel like part of the reason that probably Jon Arryn was so successful and Tyrion so successful as the Hand of the King, and anybody who is the Hand of the King is so successful because you have to understand everyone's motivations and everyone's reasons for things and everyone's feelings about things and keeping it all into one perspective and then making your decisions accordingly. But the show does a really good job of keeping everyone's like caring about everyone's motivations too. Because I mean, other shows try to, but you don't care. You're like, yeah, I get what they're trying to say, but like George R. R. Martin does such a because I didn't even care about what the Lannisters, right? You're like. Normally, you're like, I get what you're trying to do, but I don't get like. But I truly care about even the Greyjoys now. Like I said, I have more of respect for them because I understand where they came from. Like you get such, and this was even. I mean, I know this was after the lore, but even during the show, you get that kind of too. Right. And so, I feel like that's why it makes this show such a more of an immersive experience.
Yeah. So it makes it harder to be like, who is the real protagonist of the show?
Yeah, and it makes it harder to like. Just watch because you're constant. I swear, it's like he just gets these little hooks in you, and he just like starts pulling. And I love it because I can see where he's gonna do. Sometimes I'm like, oh man, like you know you're gonna get punched in the face, and I know once that I have to decide. I'm like, I don't know if I can decide. And he does a really good job of that, where it's like you really don't know what is the best for who, for like the realm, for yourself as a watcher, for the people that you're like trying to decide the best for them. Yeah. It's just such a fun experience to watch this, so I really love it. It's such a cool, immersive, full world experience.
Awesome.
Yeah. So season 3 now.
Yeah. So we're
episode 1, season 3. Let's go.
We're gonna get into season 3, episode 1. Yeah. So
see you guys on the other side.
We are 33% through. We are 1/3 caught up.
I'm a third of the way there. I'm
less
summer.
Think about it though. All of you've watched, there's twice as much story still to come before you're even caught up. Let alone at the end of the whole story.
Then there's the season, and so this new season, and oh my god, I know. I can't wait to get up caught up with you guys. I'm so excited.
Really like I'm 60 episodes out of 73 because we know for sure there's an end in sight. There's 13 episodes left.
Yeah.
There's going to be 7 episodes in season 7, 6 episodes in season 8, and then the story's done. So
the story's done after.
This part of the story. I mean, people might do spin-offs
but they already announced when there's going to be an end.
Yes.
Oh my god. So this next season's the last season?
No. Season 7 is going to be the second to last season.
And then there's going to be a season 8 with a few episodes.
Seasons 1 through 6 are all 10 episodes each. They're split. They did instead of doing one 13 episode season, they split it up into a 7 episode season and a 6 episode season.
Wow.
So
I'm
at
you're at the
finale
almost.
So you're
towards the end of this.
You're only going to have to wait 1 year after season 7, and then the story's done. Because everyone else, they watch season 3, wait a year. Watch season 4, wait a year.
You guys are troopers. I bitch after a week of not seeing this stuff. I'm like, nah, I can't even. I couldn't imagine a year in between.
Well, you're gonna have to do 1 year.
1 year, but I'm saying each year in between each of these seasons, nah. But I guess that
and the book readers, the show is past the book readers.
Oh, you're right.
The book only goes up to about season 5. Wow. So all of season 6 is pretty much.
And now this new season coming out
is new.
Wow, and it's one episode a week?
1 episode a week, yeah.
So we'll have 7 weeks solid of 1 episode, and then I'll have to wait a year for the next 6. Whoo! I'm gonna tell you this though, for you guys who've learned and applied this to your life over the span of these last 6 years now, I get to do that in the span of 6 months and apply that, which is cool.
The one thing that you will kind of miss out though is a lot of the fan theories. Because, all the way up to season 5, the book readers knew stuff. But then, at the end of season 5, the show people and the book people just started combining and just, throwing out tons of theories. I don't want to tell you what their theories are. Because at the end of season 5, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is a theory, this is it. But it could be too leading.
Yeah, I don't want to hear any.
Right.
But that does suck. I'm going to miss some of the theories.
So,
but I can get the theories for this newer season.
Right,
now.
Exactly. So, you're only going to have 3 days to even talk about theories.
Well, I meant the season 8, not season 7.
Oh, right, yeah. Yeah. So, I'll tell you, at the end of season 6, some of the theories that people have, because then you'll be all caught up.
Yeah.
But,
I just love that I get to, try to catch up with you guys, and then to get to watch it with you guys, too, and to be able to react along with you guys. guys and be able to like discuss stuff without having to worry about getting anything ruined. I'm a hermit right now. I don't even look at anything online that even has to deal with medieval times or anything that has a sword in it or anything. Like I go on and skip. I drop like actors that I see, even if they're not in costume. Like I scroll past if it's anything. I don't even watch television right now. Like not on a weird way, but just in
case there's a commercial for.
Yeah, just in case there's a commercial. Like I am, not, and I know there's gonna be, and probably more and more.
Especially the closer we get to July.
Yeah, and I don't look at like. I'm worried at work. We both work at Buffalo Wild Wings. There's a lot of televisions. I am deathly scared that there's gonna be like. During one of the big games or something, it's gonna come on, and I'm just gonna like start immediately running away from like I will just for you guys, and I'm selfish, so I really don't want anything ruined for me. I'll probably just dip on the table. Like if I'm in the middle of an order, I'll just leave the table. Like I'll be right back for you guys until it's over. But once I can not have to worry about spoilers, or at least just like the inherent amount of them, I think it'll be a lot nicer too. I can feel a lot more safe, but. I'm on edge right now just to make sure nothing's ruined because I've had nothing ruined after 2 seasons now.
Yeah, right around the time you started watching like this show, like because we started, we released our first episode April 1st.
Yeah,
and that's pretty close to when the trailers for season 7 started coming out. So.
Yeah, so it's been a month.
Yeah, we've been watching for a month and 3 days.
Wow, we're doing really good.
Yeah, we're
getting two seasons out in 1 month.
Yeah.
You just gotta wait years for that.
All right, so we're gonna go watch
episode 1
right now. All right, guys.
Later. See you guys there.